Minimum wage and poverty in the UK. In the UK, the national minimum wage is the lowest wage set by the government that employers are allowed to pay to their workers. But why do we have a minimum wage? Suppose there is a worker, John, who works at his local grocery store. His employer is Jack. John goes to work to earn money to pay for his living expenses, whereas Jack employs John so that his business could operate and grow. By having a minimum wage in place, Jack pays John a salary which allows for a higher standard of living. In the meantime, John works hard at the store to ensure that Jack's business operates and grows. The opinions about the effectiveness of the minimum wage are split. Some support the minimum wage, others do not. The minimum wage in the UK has shown an increasing trend over the past few decades. This highlights the importance of this policy. Many believe that the minimum wage helps to combat poverty. By setting a lowest wage, employers cannot exploit workers, and so workers have experienced an improved level of welfare. Minimum wage can also be considered to reduce income inequality. Suppose there is a scale where on one end we have the poorest workers and the other end we have the richest. The minimum wage only affects those who are on the poorer end. Therefore, when this policy is introduced, the poor will earn a higher wage. This helps to narrow the gap between the rich and the poor. However, there are some caveats. Firms face labour cost. If the minimum wage increases, then the cost of employing workers also increases. This means that firms will need to cut costs. Firms may decide to not employ as many people, or even make some redundant, which creates unemployment. So whilst minimum wage increases the welfare of the poor, it may actually push other people into poverty, so the effect on income inequality is ambiguous. So is it worth it? To identify if this policy is useful, the government must weigh the cost and the benefits. More specifically, how many people will the policy get out of poverty and how many people will be pushed into it. However, since the national minimum wage has been in place in the UK for a few decades, it can be thought that the policy has demonstrated itself to be effective in combating poverty.